think of it like you're nurturing yourself through this process. It absolutely is. And you get to learn a new skill. It's going to affect every other area of your life. You got to take control of that if you want to improve in all other areas of your life too.
What's up, people of the internet and friends of the podcast? Welcome to Awoken Dudes. Today's podcast features Cole Hastings. I have been a fan of Cole's work for quite some time. I am a self-proclaimed self-help junkie. I am constantly in the pursuit of trying to be better for myself and my family, and that's kind of what I do with this podcast. It's what I do on my other YouTube channel. I have a deep and longing passion to enhance the world and to leave it better than how I found it. Cole shares in the same vision. He produces highly engaging, thought-provoking, and inspirational videos on the internet. He's also vegan. Prior to going vegan, he did not have much muscle mass. After he went vegan and he started working out, you can see from the thumbnail, he is a very muscular and fit person. It's very inspiring. It's very motivational to watch his story. Our talk in specific today doesn't do a super deep dive on the macros and the fitness approach that he uses in the gym. More so, this conversation serves as a guide to, one, anecdotally show to you that you can be vegan and build mass. And it's also a talk on what it's like for a new person coming from a omnivorous or carnivorous diet to a fully plant-based lifestyle. What does that look like? Will your friends accept you? What does it look like to go to events that are lined with food that is all stuff that you can no longer eat? What does that look like? How did Cole deal with it? How do I deal with it? If you like this conversation with Cole nearly as much as I think that you will, I know that you will, there are show notes linking you to his Instagram and his YouTube down below. For the time being, sit back and please enjoy another episode of Awoken Dudes featuring Cole Hastings. How you doing, Cole, brother?
Doing great. How about you?
Yeah, doing great, man. Just, living my best life, acknowledging to you that I do feel better than everyone else being a vegan. It's true what they say.
Well, it's a crazy transition to feel that superiority right once you go vegan. I mean, you take your first bite of tofu and it's game changing.
Dude, I kind of knew that vegans thought that they felt better than everyone else, but I didn't realize that they actually were until, like you said, that first bite of tofu.
Right, yeah. You can just feel it right away.
So I feel like I understand your history kind of with veganism. I think, 3 years ago you switched to full?
A little over 4 years now.
Oh, okay. So when you started YouTube, you were vegan from the
Yes.
from the get-go.
The first few months on YouTube I wasn't, but yeah, practically the whole time I've been on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, because pretty early on, if you go to like YouTube and hit oldest video, which I love your first few videos, by the way, they're amazing. Seriously, I'm like, this kid's awesome.
Which, my first ever videos?
Yeah. I watched those right before our interview. And it's awesome to watch like the growth of anybody when you do that, when they upload consistently. But I think like 4 or 5 videos in, you started talking about V-gains was a thing you're using for a while. And
I tried I tried to make this whole vlog series veganism because when I started YouTube, I didn't have a good enough camera to start vlogging. I could only use it in like really good sunlight in my dorm room, and it was not a vlogging camera at all. So when I finally got one that was worthy of being able to vlog on, even if it meant I would be making just like vlog videos that also somehow tied into veganism, even though that didn't really make sense, I wanted to make them. So I guess that's why I named it that.
Yeah. Well, going back to like me kind of understanding your history, I think that you had said recently, or maybe it was on Instagram, you had said in respect to you gaining mass that you were happy that you were able to make the transition to veganism before you started putting on mass.
Yes. Yeah, because Right. So
Because like what you're saying.
yeah, because a lot of people go vegan in their bodybuilding, whatever athlete journey, really late into their journey. I guess. Yeah, they go vegan late into their bodybuilding journey, and because of that, you see a lot more progress when you're first starting out in bodybuilding or weightlifting, and after a while, it kind of tapers off, and so it's hard to see a huge transition or a big difference between someone who's gone vegan and has been bodybuilding for like 10 years versus someone who goes vegan during like their first couple years of bodybuilding. And so that's pretty rare, and I'm really glad that I did that because it actually shows that yes, you can build muscle on a vegan diet. It is possible, and not just possible, but as easy to build muscle as an animal-based diet if you know how to do it.
I am not super affluent in the world of macros and whatnot. I'm kind of like a go as I feel kind of guy. I do have like a rounded diet, and I do make sure that I'm like taking care of my body and eating well, but I don't focus on like numbers. Like I don't know how many grams of protein I get. But from you being like your experience as like a vegan health coach and bodybuilding rather, I know you have paid attention to macros. And do you subscribe to like the school thought of like you should eat as much protein as you would if you were like a meat-based bodybuilder, or do you take in less protein per day? Do you have like an opinion on that?
Right. So you should be eating the same amount of protein as an animal-based bodybuilder. You don't need to eat, oh my God, you don't need to eat more, but protein is obviously incredibly important for building muscle. And so with that being said, I did have my protein intake lowered a little bit, and I saw no difference in the amount of muscle that I was gaining. And there are a lot of benefits to lowering your protein intake a little bit. And I think that most bodybuilders eat way too much protein and eat much more protein than they need anyways. So I think that both animal-based and plant-based bodybuilders probably are eating more protein than they need, because I could be eating more protein, but I just understand macros more now and how protein affects overall health and how much eating too much protein is bad for the body and for like digestion, because we're not meant to eat as much protein as we are when we're building muscle. Bodybuilding is not exactly the most natural thing ever. Like bulking, eating more calories than you need, eating more protein than you need. Definitely not the most natural thing ever if we're talking how we have eaten for the few million years. But then again, you could argue that veganism isn't that way either. So,
yeah.
But still, what were you saying?
Oh, you're going back when you're talking about like the veganism thing. I do feel like being completely vegan is like a privilege, and you talk about that all the time. Like you have that awareness, which I think is great, and it is a privilege. But there was a study that came out recently where they're showing this like old like site where it was like a hunter's ground, where like it was kind of like a meeting place for like hunters from all around the region, and they like are excavated tools and whatnot. But as technology's advanced, they've been able to like examine the soil more thoroughly, and they did another test in the area, and they found like much more like plant material and plant matter. And then of course the vegan community kind of like blew the article up, and they're like, see, we were eating more plants and seeds than we thought because they're so much easier to like resource. And who knows what the answer is. I talked to you about, before we started recording, we talked about game changers, and they talk about the gladiator diet, and it's like, I want to believe that stuff. It's so hard to find the truth or figure out like what our ancestors were actually doing, Like the best you can do is piece together the puzzle, right?
Oh man, it's so true. Nutrition is the most confusing subject ever because I could go on the internet and find a study of how beneficial meat and dairy and egg intake is daily, and then I can find a study of how people cut that out and only eat plant-based, and then they experience great effects. And then there's people going carnivore saying that fixed all their fucking health issues, and then plant-based fixed all their health issues. It's like,
yeah,
oh my goodness.
Dude,
so that's why I'm like,
I'm so hesitant to say that.
right.
I'm so hesitant to like because I was when I was vegetarian, I ate like trash from like 16 to 22. It was like cheesy burritos, cheese on everything. I was one of those people who was like, I can't ever go vegan because of cheese, bro. But I felt fine. Like my metabolism was that of an 18 or 19-year-old. And when I was like 30-ish, I was like, diarrhea is just a thing I have to live with. Like it's what my dad did. It's what my grandpa did. They're always talking about how bad their bowels are. And then I switched to being plant-based, and almost immediately, like all of that went away. And there was a balancing act of like nutrition before I went vegan, where I was like kind of figuring out my like gut biome, but veganism did do that for me. It made my life significantly better. But I don't want a blanket statement because, like you just said, like carnivore people blanket statement. They're like, this is the one way.
Right.
So I think your approach, it seems like on social and in YouTube, your approach is you're not like a militant Nazi vegan. You're not vegan teacher-esque. So are you mindful of that, or is that just like a natural thing that you kind of do? Is that how you approach the world?
Yeah, that's kind of just how I approach everything, is keeping an open mind, like staying true to my morals and values, and like, you know, I have certain beliefs that I don't want to change, and I don't want to be like too swayed by a different opinion that I get. I want to like stand my ground and have respect for that. But at the same time, I understand that everybody has experienced a different life, has a different body, different things that make them happy and unhappy. And so it's so hard to pin down just the perfect diet for anybody, or the perfect anything for anybody. And so that's why I understand why people aren't vegan. And also, I know how much we are social creatures and how much people want to fit in, unfortunately. And so going vegan, you know, it takes you out of a lot of social situations that are centered around food. And food is such a bonding thing, you know, like you can make great friends around food and a table, and it's a cultural thing, and it's tough to change cultural things that have been happening for thousands and thousands of years. And on top of that, people not wanting to go vegan because most of the world is not vegan. Because like if most of the world was vegan, then people would be like much more open to being vegan. So I understand that point of view, and that's why I feel like I took the ethical side of it, because if I was just to say like I'm plant-based because, or I'm plant-based, this is what people would say, then that's like I only care about the dietary aspects of it, the fact that the diet makes me feel better. But, you know, I stay vegan because of what's happening in factory farming. And I don't want to pay for animals to be killed. So, yeah, that's kind of my whole opinion with that.
Good. Yeah, I've seen you. You know, you've got a good blend, and it's kind of like inspired me to stay like on course with what I'm doing. I've got like a mixture of like lifestyle and like philosophy, and then like I talk about running a little bit, and you talk about lifestyle in your stuff. You talk about veganism, and I've seen you talk about stoicism a few times. So you do a good job like embodying like the characteristics of like a stoic man or a stoic person.
That's good. My friend actually said the same thing, and I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I read a couple books, so sure, I'll take that.
Yeah, man, you got a calm mind. I love it. And so it is about ethics for you too, and that's good to hear. So I want to ask you, because this video is going to primarily be for people that are thinking about making this switch, and you talked about when you remove the broad spectrum of like a typical American diet, when you make it very narrow and you're like, I'm going to only eat plants, you do kind of like cut yourself out of like a lot of social situations. In my personal experience, it's weird at first, and I got a lot of pushback from people, especially my father-in-law. He's like, you're not a man anymore.
Of course.
Did you experience any of that? What was it like for you 4 years ago when you made the right decision? No. When you switched, what was that like? Did you get pushback? How did you work through it? How long did it take you to reassimilate, if you did reassimilate? Could you talk about that process?
I don't think I ever fully reassimilated, but I feel like more than just veganism caused that. Just me wanting to improve myself consistently, when I had friends my whole life who were just like partying, drinking, you know. So when I first went vegan, I got a lot of pushback from my dad. He, you know, one of our ways of bonding was to go out and get food, and it was harder. And even 4 years ago, there was less vegan options than there are now. Like, a lot of restaurants did not have vegan options. And so that was kind of out of the cards. Luckily, that has changed a lot, even in the past, like, few months. But like this past year specifically, just so many more vegan options, which has really helped with the reassimilation that you're talking about. Also, my friends would roast me. I mean, they still kind of do till this day. I mean, it never really bothered me, though. They never were like, oh, you're vegan, I'm not going to be friends with you. It was more just like, you know, a few chirps here and there, a few insults here and there. And that's died down over the years. They've kind of just accepted it. And then now some of them are like happy when I bring around vegan food for them to try. So
Yeah.
At first it's definitely tough, because you will be missing a lot of food, social opportunities. But there is a workaround for that, and that is to bring your own food, which I do a lot more of now. You know, I bring shit in Tupperware to a lot of places. And that has really also allowed me to reassimilate. I'm fine with making my own food and bringing it, and it's almost like there's no difference between that and actually having the food that everyone else is having.
Yeah, it really is. Like, you talk about the bonding aspect, and fun fact, companion comes from like the Latin words pan and con is with. Pan means bread, so companion literally means like who you share bread with.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the pushback that I got, other than people, like, I kind of, like you said, like your friends roasted you, was how are we going to like hang out? And it is weird to bring your own food at first. Or for me, a lot of times, I'll just eat ahead of time if I'm going somewhere where I know it's like only going to be chicken and bacon and whatever else. And it was only like weird like the first one or two times, and then it's like after that it's like, oh, you're still sitting at the table. Like, I don't actually even experience you eating food when you were eating the same thing as me before. It's like such a weird logical thing to like get hung up on.
Right.
It's like, you know how I'm experiencing this cheeseburger? It's like, well, we used to order different things on the menu anyway, Greg. Calm down.
Right, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, thanks, man. So you've been doing a lot of cooking on your Instagram. I don't know how long that goes back, honestly. Do you cook? What would you say the percentage of your meals are cooked at home, and was that like an adjustment at the beginning? Like, were you like a junk food vegan at first and then you had to refigure it out? Could you like kind of, maybe give someone who's like day zero, almost no knowledge of vegan, like what would be the advice you'd give someone starting and then like switching into like cooking? Like what's some things you could give them to like save them some time?
So I was never really a junk food vegan. I've always been conscious about my health, thanks to having a mom who always cooked really well for me. But I did not know how to cook because it was always my mom cooking those meals for me. And so a lot of it was just trial and error with recipes I found online. And that's kind of how I first started off, I feel like. Having fun with it at the start, experimenting with foods you've never tried in your life before is a good way to do it. And we could get into like the macros and micronutrients and how to calculate that and be wary of that so that you don't become deficient in anything. But like just overall, day zero, just look up recipes online, try out different foods, different things, see what you like. Eventually you're going to get into the routine. Well, especially for bodybuilding, I'm eating like pretty much the exact same meals every single day for a few weeks before I switch it up, because I just have to eat so much and it takes the thinking out of it when I don't have to think about what I'm about to eat. But you definitely will have to, it'll be harder at the start for sure. There'll be more thinking, more planning that you need to do. But just have fun with it. Cooking is fun. I don't think people realize that. It can be a really fun thing. It can be like an art form, and it feels so incredibly rewarding to cook things from scratch and eat them. Even though you'll cook for a couple hours and consume it in 5 minutes. Yeah. It's a really great skill to have, and I think people should see it as that. But just the main tip is just go online, get the recipes, follow people like me who are posting recipes, and just try them out. Yeah, you're going to probably suck at first, but you suck at everything at the start. So
yeah.
It will take, if you want to cook most of your meals, it'll take more time than usual. Meal prepping is advised. And prepare yourself for when you're going to be gone for a while and you don't know if there's going to be vegan options there.
Mm-hmm. It's cliche, but it's so true. And it's just like anything else. It's like the more work you put into it, the better you'll get at it. It's the exact same thing with cooking too. It's like if you feel overwhelmed, it's because, you're doing a new thing, right?
Right.
And the simple answer, right? Yeah, just get online and look up something. Just get into it, man. And it's enjoy being there. It's like kind of like a Buddhist or a Zen thing, like talking about like being where your feet are and like you're always on the path. It's like the time in the kitchen is not wasted time. Like it's actually amazing to be able to be in the kitchen and spend that hour and a half, whatever it is, to make the food that you like. You said so eloquently, like you spend an hour and a half working on it and then you consume it in 10 seconds. It's like, it's not about the end result. It's right. Just like everything else. It's about the journey to get to that next place.
And I will say,
be where your feet are, man. I love it.
Not everything is going to take an hour and a half. Like I've greatly reduced how much time I spend on cooking and making meals from scratch. Some things will only take like 10, 15 minutes. Just to say that so people don't get too pushed off by the idea of cooking.
Yeah.
But going off of what you were saying, like this is going to affect every single other aspect of your life is what you put into your body. And the best way to improve your health is cooking from scratch and cooking at home. Everywhere you go, practically everywhere you go, is going to either have like, it will be healthy maybe, but it'll be outrageously expensive for no reason. Or they're going to have a lot of oil and shit in it. Mm-hmm. And so think of it like you're nurturing yourself through this process. It absolutely is. And you get to learn a new skill. it's going to affect every other area of your life. You got to take control of that if you want to improve in all other areas of your life too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it all ties together. And I think people like you that have kind of like, instead of being like super niche down in something, like you do have a niche. I could explain to someone what you do, but you have like a few different areas, and they all do tie in together. Like it really is like taking care of like your food and taking care of your mind and your body. Like it's all like it all kind of merges together.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. So I will keep this to the 30 minutes, like I said. I think we're close to that. Well, Cole, where can people go? Where do you want people to go to check out your stuff and your work?
Mainly, I would like you to check out my YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com/Cole Hastings. You can also check out my Instagram, which is @seasoned_tofu. And maybe you're watching this or listening to this and I'll have the coaching back. And if that's the case, then you can go to my website, which is seasonedtofu.com.
Okay. If you don't have it back, I don't know if I'll leave it in or not.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. That's fine.
No, we can leave it in there. Dude, you're a gentleman and a scholar, and I truly appreciate you taking any time to talk to me about this. And, come to the green side, you guys. If you haven't done it yet and you're wondering, yeah, like we said in the beginning, like you are a better person. Like you just feel it immediately. So do yourself a favor.
There are normal people who are vegan.
Yes.
Have to put that out there.
Yeah. Personally, I've never been to a PETA protest or a march where I'm like holding the rubber chicken like Joaquin Phoenix. So not everyone is like that. There's just some people out there living their life trying to feel better.
No offense to them. I really, really respect people who are like heavy activists and do all that, but there's a lot of vegans who are not like that. That's basically all I was saying.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah. I do think that there is a misconception that when you go into it, you're going to be just one way. So I think the more people like you and I talk and share, and the more faces that represent like the plant-based lifestyle or veganism, the better, for sure. All right.
Absolutely.
Much love, man. Thank you for being here. You wonderful people.